It's been a hot minute and my haircut is way different than it was before. Well, somebody might think it's not way different, but it is. So my haircut is being brought to you with texture and layers for our current haircut today. And I'm gonna walk you through a couple things on what you can ask for when you go to the stylist and get hopefully the answers that you need. So join me. So the question, Jocelyn, how do you cut your hair? What do I tell my stylist when I'm going to the salon? How short are your layers? Do you have layers or do you have texture? What kind of haircut do you have? It all boils down to these basic questions, but at the same time, are they so basic? They kind of seem like a pain in the butt to try and master with what we should tell our stylist. The other thing that's not in our favor is when we look at pictures as our example photo, if their hair's curly, sometimes the stylist, right? Comment this below if you're with me. Sometimes the stylist takes them as layers when really the curls just shorten it up, and so then it might look like it's a layer, but it's not a layer. So if the stylist would provide pictures of the client with their hair straight and then pictures of the client with the hair curly, they can have a better idea for what it is that cut. And we can't always get that from our stylist. So I'm gonna give to you though today, I'm gonna give to you versions of the haircuts I've had when Chris Jones has cut my hair, kind of where we started and where we're at now. So I'm bringing to you layers, shorter layers, a little bit longer layers for short hair, a blunt bob, a texturized haircut with having the blunt bob, and we're just going to rock it all into that. So here we go. All right, so let's get comfortable and cozy. I have on this is like a news anchor status. So I have a nice outfit on the top and I have sweatpants on the bottom. Yeah, because I'm cold and yeah, but we're gonna get comfy cozy in here so you can join me. Maybe you go grab yourself a drink. Maybe you wrapped yourself up into a blanket, whatever your heart desires, but this one's gonna be a little looser. We're gonna have some fun. Okay, so I actually have an album in my phone that is just for like stuff I've done with Chris Jones. So he started cutting my hair a little over a year ago. How it started was he needed a model for some work that he had to do for this big shenanigan deal that they had going on during the whole vid stuff where people were just doing all of their teaching tools all online. So they had this huge thing that you had to have, they even flew in a videographer to film the cut and all that jazz. So he wanted me as a model, and so I did that, and then after that was done, I was like, you know what, we should go shorter than what we had done the first time. He needed a second model for something else he was doing, so we went, a lot shorter that second time. And the more I got around Chris and his crew, and the more we just started talking and everything, our friendship just really clicked. And it just it was awesome. Their crew, giant shout out to Chris Jones. Salon Bugatti is what his salon is. And the professionalism that they have, it's amazing. So I have 678 videos of stuff going through here, of stuff from Chris that I'm gonna show to you, but we're gonna start with the very first cut. Now the first cut that Chris did for me, let me show you what my hair was before he cut. So in this picture right here, this is how long that my hair was. My hair was pretty much all one length with a little bit of texture to start, okay? So you see the back and the side version. It had a little bit of curl before it started, but this was this is how long my hair was, okay? So here's the back and the side version. So then we cut my hair to a shorter version, but we wish that we would have gone a little bit shorter. We went shorter and texture. He kept it though a very blunt bob. So if you're looking for inspo for that, I have things all spread throughout, but he kept it a very blunt bob, and then we just added in a little bit of texture, not much at all. And the texture is just to remove a little bit of heaviness. Now, just so we're very clear, texture versus layers, they cut it differently. And what I mean by that is how they hold the shears. So if you're in the stylist chair, okay, and they go in, and these are my scissors, okay? If they come into this area and they come in like this, they're adding texture. okay? If they come into a layer where they're going to shorten this whole entire thing across, whether they come into it like this, but then when it's all done, all of it is that short, or if they go all the way across. And since I said that, it might have confused you because you're like, if they go in like this, what they do for texturizing cuts is they come in very deep and they take out tiny pieces, very deep and tiny pieces. So at the end, when they're done, there's still a lot that's long like that, and they cut it in deep. If it's a layer and they're still coming in with tips, they're doing these itty bitty little cuts, and all of this is now removed. That's a layer. So they're going to sit differently. And when they're cutting the texture, they'll grab like bigger chunks and they'll come in with pieces, or they'll just grab, they'll like look at your hair and they'll grab one little piece and shorten that one tiny piece instead of giving it an actual layer. That's the difference between the two. Having short hair with textured ends is going to change up the look of a cut too. When you have those textured ends, it can remove it from being such a blunt cut so it's not so heavy. But if you're somebody that has more fine hair, you want to be more careful with how you're going in with the layers. So that is huge for you, and you should talk to your stylist about that too. So we did that a couple times. We did those cuts with having more of a blunt bob, and then we're like, you know what? Let's change this up. The next time we cut my hair, we went to straight, all out, full force layers. Now, I want you to compare these photos, okay? So this is the photo that I am going to show you right here. So this is the photo of when I cut my hair into the layers, and it's a side view, okay? You're going to compare that. We'll pull back up that side view of the cut I had before this. But this layer that we did is, if you look, you can see a lot of hair shorter, and then a lot of hair another bit long, a little longer than that, and then a lot of hair a little bit longer than that. It wasn't these, see right here where I have these little textured like pieces that are just like so soft? It wasn't that. They're like true blue through and through textured pieces. This photo right here, I'm gonna show you this one from the back, okay? And then I'm going to show you, and I want you to pay close attention to this too, the difference now from having it be straight versus having it be curly, okay? So this is straight. Now watch when it's curly, how it can really change up the look of those layers. If I went to a stylist and I told the stylist that I wanted layers put into their hair, like Jocelyn, and you take them the curlied version, they're gonna give you probably something a little bit different than what they would have given you if you would have taken them a picture with a straight. So being able to go to the stylist with a picture of both is going to make the biggest difference. Now we have this picture with a curly. So can you see how that makes such a difference? But if you take that picture with having it curly with layers, and then we'll pull up now the picture of the cut that was beforehand with the blunt cut. Then when you take that blunt cut, you can now see that even though the one's a little bit longer than this version, it's two completely different looks. You can see those layers are what's really telling that story, whereas the blunt cut, even though it has textured pieces in it that's really dainty pieces like this, it really doesn't have that pop, that oomph. Okay, so that is going to make a huge difference for you. So this final time, this final haircut, the one that I want to show you now, what we did was we grew out the layers a little bit more till they were about right here. We took these layers, and instead of it making it 100% a layered cut, we ended up turning it into about 85% texture and 15% layers. So when you're going to that stylist, now instead of saying, I want a layered cut or a layered bob, you're going to say, I want a cut that has mostly textured, longer layers. So it's, Jocelyn went to her stylist and he told her that it was more 85% texture and 15% layers, keeping the layers nice and long. Let me find those pictures for you really quick. So this one that I'm giving you with this cut that I have now, this is my current cut. This one, we actually took pictures with it straight, with a little bit of curl where he had just curled the very front, I think like 4 pieces, just at the front, something like that. And then he curled the whole head and made it more of a curl going on. But you'll see that it really truly makes the difference in how the cut looks. You'll also see though, if we also compare this cut to the first one with the blunt bob, you'll see that, oh, I see those layers now. I can still see where she's that 85% texture and that 15% layers versus having the blunt bob that you really can't see a lot of the texture that's going on because it's so much more of a blunt bob. And that's how you can really tell a difference in the cuts that you're having. So on this one, you really hone in on the straight and you can see these layers when I zoom in. Oh, another thing that he did too is when he cut my layers, the full layers, right? He did not cut it so that the front, the back, and all of this was the same. What he did was the layers here were a little bit shorter and it would taper longer. So as it grew out, you can tell even in my current cut that I have now, as it grew out, there's a layer back in here, but it slowly grows out that back layer went a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer. So you can tell that now that I've told you that. Do you see that now within the side by sides and all that jazz, that the layers do gradually go a little bit longer? That's gonna take a difference. So now that my hair has grown out, it's almost, we have about a month before my next appointment, actually less than a month before my next appointment. You can see that it grows out really well. So what you're gonna ask for this current cut that I have today is a longer layered look with 85% texture and 15% layers. So our goal is more breaking down that look so it's not so heavy like a layered look. Before, you were gonna ask for a blunt bob with a little bit of texturing pieces, but they'll probably figure that out when they cut it. And the final thing I wanna say is all of these cuts need to be finished on a dry head of hair. If your stylist is doing your short hair with the whole entire cut on wet hair, I recommend going to a whole new stylist. I don't mean to put it rude or anything like that, but you are not going to get the looks you want, especially with layers, if you are working with somebody who does your whole cut on wet hair and then they go and dry you, curl you, and call it a day. It needs to be cut the perimeter, cut the layers that you can cut, dry the hair, brown brush it, straighten it if needed, whatever. Go in, texturize, go in and make those layers be poppin' so it goes out smoothly, then style your hair. So make sure you're paying close attention to that, okay? So if you have any questions on cuts and all that jazz, you can let me know, but you can also follow me at Jocelyn.McClellan. At Jocelyn.McClellan, if you go to my homepage, there's this little button that looks like a newspaper, and that newspaper is where I have a guide section. Tap on that and it will tell you there's a topic for blow drying, there's a topic for Chris and Demi foundation and easy makeup for your age, eyeshadows and sunscreen. If you tap on the one for Chris, if you scroll through that, you can find my different haircuts and you can get a little bit more help there. I hope that this tutorial helped you out. You take care, you have an incredible day. Compare these two babies, get what you want out of your stylist, and if you have any questions, let me know. Take care, bye.